Okay, this is chapter 30, a few thoughts on it to help you tackle the Latin. Piso's on the steps of the palace and he has started to speak to the troops there to test their loyalty, and he's going to do a character assassination of Otho in case they were thinking of switching allegiance from Galba to Otho. So I've divided it into two paragraphs, in part because at the end of the Word document there are a couple of questions we ought to consider. The first paragraph then, he starts off by saying essentially, "Nothing shall I arrogate to myself of nobility or modesty." What he's meaning there is, I don't lay claim to any nobility on my own part or modesty of behaviour. This is a great way of drawing attention to the fact he has genuine nobility and he's lived a life of modesty, self-restraint. This would, of course, suggest that Otho not only is not noble, or as noble as Piso, certainly, but Otho's private life is a bit of a mess. And is he really the sort of person you should be backing to be the next emperor? And then he says, "Neque enim relatu virtutum." I think relatu is best translated as the word mention, really. Neque opus est plus the ablative means, slightly idiomatically, nor is there need for something. There's no need to mention virtues in any comparison with Otho, in any assessment of Otho. Of course there isn't. As far as Piso's concerned, he's got absolutely no virtues at all. In fact, he goes on to say, straight away, he's not even interested in virtues. Vitia quibus solis gloriator. Vices, his vices, in which alone he glories, rather paradoxically. Normally we glory in positive things, but Otho's peculiar. He glories in vice and excess. He boasts of it, he revels in it. His vices, aver terra imperium, have wrecked supreme power, have wrecked an emperorship. Imperium's a difficult word. It can mean empire, it can mean supreme power, and Otho's involvement in Nero's reign, according to Piso, more or less single-handedly wrecked Nero's chance of surviving or being a good emperor. Even when etiam cum, he was ago. Don't forget the word act in English comes from ago. Even when he was acting as a friend of the emperor. You can't trust Otho, he's just a fraud. And then notice when we get to I've just remembered I can draw on things, so maybe I should try that. When we get to the verb in the next sentence, mererator is an imperfect subjunctive and suggests possibility. It's a rhetorical question. Should he deserve imperium? Should he deserve power with his habitu, with the way he presents himself, with his inkesu, with his way of walking, his gait? There's constantly suggestions that Otho's rather effeminate, so does he mince around? And then a third rather catty remark from Piso. Should he really deserve power when he sort of goes around in womanly dress? Not quite sure what that suggests, but it certainly suggests that he's not fit to be emperor. Now, a difficult sentence next. Phalontor. They are deceived. They are deceived. Quibus luxuria, for whom luxury, in the guise of generosity, impresses. If you impress upon somebody, that's sort of like a dative. So if you ignore the fact that quibus is dative and just imagine it is an accusative, it makes it a lot easier. Those people are deceived who are impressed by his extravagance, which he calls generosity. He hasn't got any money. What's he doing? Splashing it around just to curry favour and win people's sympathy. A warning for the future, istesciet. He will know how to lose or waste money. Nesciet donara. He will not know how to give it. Well, he won't have any for a start. So these promises of a donative, donara, remind us of donativum. But it's just not going to happen, says Piso. I suppose the soldiers might say, well, you haven't given one of us a donative either, so why, what's the difference? Nunc. Even now, I think, nunc stupra et commissationes et feminarum coitus volvit animo. Even now, presumably when he's just about to go into power or something, or launch a coup, even now he's turning over in his mind stupra, shameful, disgraceful acts are stupra, and commissationes, and sort of revels and feasting, and coitus feminarum, gatherings of women. These things and look at the plosives here, how striking. These things he considers the primia principatus, the rewards of emperorship. A lust for and a pleasure in these things. I think you're best to put a full stop after putat. A lust for and a pleasure in these things may well be deeply within him. Penes plus the accusative, deeply within. But the corollary of that, the shame and disgrace, not quite sure what's happened there, deidecus, that's just one word, will sit within all of us, all of you or all of us will pay the price for his debauched behaviour. He has no shame, he's no sense of dishonour, but we will just be appalled. Just think how Americans feel having Donald Trump as a president. It's that sort of thing, I would say. No one ever has exercuit, has practiced power that has been acquired under disgraceful circumstances, bonis artibus, with good skill, properly. Nobody has properly exercised power that he has won by disgraceful means, flagitio. That's treason, launching a coup against the emperor. Okay, so that's paragraph 1 sorted. Paragraph 2. Let's have a look at that now. In this second section, Piso thinks that what these soldiers really want to hear about is himself. So he talks about himself extensively. He says, exaggerating ridiculously, a consensus of the human race proclaimed Galba. And Galba, or proclaimed Galba a Caesar, I suppose, and Galba proclaimed me as a Caesar with everybody, all of you consenting. Definitely not the case, otherwise they wouldn't be in this mess now. Ridiculous exaggeration. He goes on, si res publica, if the Republic and the Senate and the people are but empty names, empty words. Vestra, by the way, that's an ablative feminine singular adjective, because inter est, would you believe, takes that. Instead of saying it is of interest to me, you have to have a feminine singular. I suppose it doesn't have to be singular, but it's certainly a feminine ablative adjective. It is in your interest, my fellow soldiers. They're not his fellow soldiers, he's never been in the army. That the worst people, ne faciant, should not make the emperor. He says, look, in case people are thinking of sedition, sedition of legionary soldiers against their leaders has been heard of before, aliquando, now and again. It's not the end of the world. We know how you feel. We know you're unhappy. But he says, reminding them of former glories, if you like, vestra fides, your loyalty and reputation remain to this day untarnished, undamaged. Even Nero also abandoned you. I don't think even Nero was right there. And another point, Nero also abandoned you, not you, Nero. So don't worry about the fact you, as a Praetorian Guard, turned on Nero. I think really he abandoned you. He did threaten to go to Egypt, flee Rome, and he didn't actually do that. But maybe Piso is suggesting that mentally he'd lost interest in the Praetorian Guard. He was just so self-obsessed, Nero, that he in a way abandoned you, betrayed you, after all you did to bring him to power. A set of rhetorical questions. Shall less than 30 traitors and deserters, whom no one would endure to choose, or when choosing even a centurion or a tribune, sort of lowly officers compared with an emperor, shall just about 30 die-hard extremists leading all this nonsense, shall they assign the emperorship? Admittis exemplum et quiescendo. Shall you set a precedent, and shall you allow this example of terrible behaviour, and in doing nothing, so that's a gerund in the ablative, shall you make it a common crime? In other words, shall you make the guilt everybody's by allowing this to happen? This lawlessness will pass into the provinces, and the exitus, the fallout of these crimes, pertinebant, will fall on us. I suppose me, Piso says, and Galba, yeah, we'll pay for it, I suppose. But he says chillingly to them, because really what soldiers don't want to do is fight. Better to just get paid by an emperor to do nothing than to fight. But he says the exitus, you understand the word exitus a second time, bellorum, will fall on you. Nec est plus quod, nor is there more than that is being given for the slaughter of an emperor, rather than what is being given for just staying innocent. But exactly, you will receive a donative from us for your loyalty, just as from others you'll receive one pro facinore for a terrible crime.